brought the scholars to certain conclusions that I made a list of 7 points about the conclusions. That Tosefta and Mishnah, in the relationship between Tosefta and Mishnah, you can see that sometimes the wording of Mishnah, of Tosefta, in relationship to Mishnah, evident that they are the Tosefta doing with a different text, not exactly with our Mishnah. That sometimes sentences that appears as anonymic sentences in Mishnah have names of the sages in Tosefta. That sometimes Tosefta, and it's evident from this case, this example of Perferkovich, appears like a commentary to certain passage which we cannot find in Mishnah. It's commentary to other texts, not to our Mishnah. That sometimes Tosefta contradicts Mishnah, but sometimes the agreement exists. And that the Tosefta I will say the level of the editing in Tosefta is much lower than in Mishnah. It's a rough text, roughly composed text. And that if in Mishnah we have only mostly the 3 generations of Tanaim, the appearance of the last generation of Tanaim in Tosefta is much bigger. Therefore, how you can explain it? Try yourself, philologist. I know you are more in the historians, but how you will explain it? We have such close but different books with all these above mentioned differences. What happened here? You know, it's uneasy. It was very uneasy to a long generation of scholars, and different explanations were proposed. Do you have any hypotheses about it? Yeah, please.
Maybe that 2 texts were written for different kinds of readers. So for different social layers or different parts of the nation, or maybe just not in different times, but in different contradictions, in different political contradictions, like people of the same nation, the same level, but living in different parts of the land, maybe. Or it could be written in different schools.
Oh. Yeah, because you know, I don't know how if we consider that the book which made itself like a supplement to another book must to take in consideration the main book. So if Tosefta is Tosefta to Mishnah, if it's addition to Mishnah, the editor or unknown editor of this book should take in consideration this book, Mishnah. So it couldn't be in a different political group. It must be in the same milieu. But you know, the sort of this, now I recall, the sort of this explanation was proposed, that Tosefta is sort of parody of Mishnah written by somebody who doesn't. And I think in a long list of explanations, something like that also was proposed. But maybe we should go in this direction, in a second direction, which this is different schools, in different academic approaches to the texts. But what it means in this point, you remember I told you that few passages, more than few passages of Tosefta, they are sort of commentary, they discussing topic which doesn't appear in Mishnah. So it's a commentary not to this Mishnah. Now I'm actually answering on the question. The Tosefta is a commentary, is an addition not to our Mishnah, but to any other text, but certain other text which doesn't exist anymore. So, but what was the nature of this text? It's even more interesting. If this text was a Mishnaic text, our Mishnah, or something else. If it was a different version of our... So now we're counting these explanations. It was a different version of our Mishnah. But now, and this is a new theory, very dear theory, proposed by a few scholars not a long time ago, that Tosefta is a commentary, is addition to an ancient Mishnah. Our Mishnah, as I already told you, is not Mishnah written, composed. Let us not use the word written, as you know, it's problematic. Our Mishnah is not Mishnah. It is not a Mishnah composed by Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, but a later creation, later work. So Tosefta is a commentary, is an addition not to this Mishnah, which we're using now, but certain other previous redaction, previous edition of Mishnah. And therefore, when in Mishnah we're finding commentaries to unexistent passages, these passages were omitted in this last edition of Mishnah. Therefore, the relationship between Mishnah and Tosefta becomes very interesting, I would say even dramatic. We can now reconstruct this text which disappears during transmission. And questions till now?
Why is there some contradictions?
Sorry?
Why is there some contradictions?
Contradictions between Mishnah and Tosefta. On that same reason, probably it was. This is an interesting question. You can explain it in this way. Probably it was different in Mishnah, but this list of this phenomena, according to scholars, serves scholars who explains all the picture different. Tosefta, they says, is a kind of polemic with Mishnah. It's a kind of polemic notes to Mishnah. Sorry? No, this is in a different explanation. In this school of scholars, it doesn't matter if it's a new Mishnah or old Mishnah. Why Tosefta contradicts Mishnah? To bring the contradicting statement to any passages Mishnah is to say, do you see, we can disagree with editor of Mishnah. It is sort of dialogue between the editor of Tosefta and editor of Mishnah. If I will bring in my addenda, in my addition to your book, contradicting statements, so I disagree with you, and I want to show it to the students, because it's a textbook. It's also, as a Mishnah, it's a book for student. It's a book for the disciple of Talmudic academy.
But what's the reason?
This is the reason, to show the difference.
They expect that somebody will rewrite Mishnah?
No, if they're expecting that somebody will rewrite Mishnah,
Yes.
no, because this is different kind of culture. This culture it's not a culture of revolutions and to make everything different. They just it's a sort of academic protest. If you disagree with anyone, write your passage and show it in a parallel manner like this. Because it's not political, it's academics.